Hi everybody, welcome back to Brelsford Family Homestead. I'm Darcy. Today we're in the garden and I wanted to bring you along as I do a few things. One of them is a debated topic, to cut or not to cut your onion tops. Is it a big deal? I don't think so, but let's do an experiment to see what happens. I was gonna leave all of these just be until harvest time, but I decided let's do an experiment together and see if it really matters at all. We will cut half of the bed and leave the other and compare it afterwards in another video. And maybe I can link that below once I do harvest these onions. Definitely not time yet. And then we're going to harvest garlic scapes. I am going to be making more compound butter with that, which I will put a link to that video here. So good. I used it on my Thanksgiving turkey. So delicious. I've used it on other things and it also makes the best garlic bread. So come along, let's get started. As you can see, some of these are like all over the place. So we're gonna trim some of them. You'll also see weeds. I've been trying to get that under control, but guess what? I don't have a perfect garden and you probably don't either. No problem, it will still grow food. I've got my gigantic colander. I'm gonna cut some of these onion tops. I'm not gonna cut them more than halfway down. And then I am gonna dehydrate them for onion top powder. I've been doing that for a while and it is good and a good use. You can also chop them and freeze them, kind of like green onions. I believe I did a video. If I did, I'll pop it up here for you. So I'm just gonna get my scissors with these little trimmers and I'll bring you over here so you can see where I'm cutting them out. All right, hopefully you can see, well, the stalk on this is pretty nice and big. So I'm just gonna try to gather up all the leaves and follow it up. So I don't want to cut more than half. So let's just go about there. That's a good amount. I hope you saw that. I'm gonna do it again just in case. Maybe my head was in the way. Gather up all the leaves from that one so I can see how long they are. And then just give it a haircut. I'm gonna do it on all of these here and then I'll show you what it looks like. I trimmed almost half of the bed, but my colander is very full for what I want to use this for, so I'm gonna leave the rest. It's gonna make this a lot easier to weed. I'll do that later. I'll make onion top powder with this and we'll come out here again later when it's time to harvest and see if the trimming made any difference at all. The varieties I have here and in another onion bed is Walla Walla and Patterson, in case you wanted to know. This is one of my two garlic breads. This is one of two of my garlic beds. All of the garlic that I grow is called Music. It's a hardneck variety. I bought seed garlic, I want to say about 5 years ago. Might have been 6 from a local organic farm, and I've been saving mine and replanting ever since, growing more and more. But as you can see, the scapes are here. So let's get these harvested to eat and make compound butter. These here are the scapes. They are only on hardneck varieties. If I let this go, this part here would get bigger and bigger and a flower head would come out. We don't want that to happen because we want all the energy to go into making big bulbs. So we just follow that down and cut it off. These are delicious. You know these are ready to harvest when they've made this circle like this. So you just follow it all the way down to where it's coming out from the leaves and snip that off. I'll try to get you a closer look. I don't think that got it. Here's one right in the front. You can see where it's coming out here. Just trim that off. There is still much more to harvest here. I don't want to harvest it all right now because I do want to share this with some people and I want it to be fresh when I do. But I also have a lot more garlic in another garden area. It's an experimental garden. So I want to go over there and harvest that. But my colander's full, so I'm going to empty it and then I will show you that experimental garden. Well, let's see how this works out. Let's go for a ride. apologize in advance for the road noise. It is right there. This is what I call my experimental garden. I started it, I think, about 1.5 years ago, just to see if anything would grow over here. I thought it was probably too shaded. I have some really big trees right in front of us. And also, in-ground gardening is very difficult for me. I have some different challenges with my back, and it's just very hard. I think I can do it with a little help from my family after doing this. So that is why we started the garden in the back, which I had a video about that last week. I'll pop that up here. So the garlic is doing great. We need to harvest the scapes. The onions I planted kind of late, and honestly, they don't look great. So I didn't plant a lot, so I'm not really hopeful about them. But I think that in that area, I may plant some rhubarb that I started from seed, since it does get sun, but also some shade. So let's harvest some scapes. Last summer, I planted several varieties of watermelons in here, and that was a fail. A couple produced melons, but they only got about this big, but we planted them very late. But I did have a lot of zinnias and cosmos in here, and I loved it because I can look out my kitchen window and see this. These scapes look about the same as the ones in my garden, maybe not quite as far as along, but we'll harvest what's ready. You can see there is quite a difference between the size. It'll be interesting to see what my garlic harvest will be in here, which I would expect to be in about a month's time, because everything does seem to be early. This one is still rather short and hasn't made a circle, so I'm going to leave this one. And this one hasn't turned at all, and this, if you can see, let me try to bring you closer. You can see this is where the flower would come. That's just barely out, so this one is not ready to cut. This is what I harvested from this bed. There is still a lot that is not quite ready, but that just means that I get to enjoy these even longer. Rinsed all the onion tops off and roughly chopped them. I have 7 dehydrator trays full. I am going to dehydrate these outside. For inquiring minds, that made 2 cups of onion top powder. I'm gonna take a little break under the canopy where I do my milking to cool off a little bit, then I'll get this in the kitchen. I love to eat these. I do cut off the flower end and put that in broth or something, but I like to eat these roasted just like you would asparagus. It's very good. But then of course I make the compound butter, which is just fabulous. I may try to make some, since I'll already be making compound butter with some of those onion tops too. I'm sure that would be good. I prefer to use Kerrygold, but sometimes I use other butter too. But I hope that you enjoyed coming along with me on this and got my drift of experiment. Break the rules. You know, you never know if it will work for you unless you try it. Some of the things that I do, not just in gardening, are a little unconventional, but that's okay. Walk to the beat, dance to the beat of your own drum and see what happens. I hope you have a great garden year and come back to see what happens with those onions. God bless.